I guess what organisations, the most prominent risk that organisations talk about is co-employment. It's the one that everyone kind of talks about quite first, I guess. But I think we need to take, a different spin on co-employment, because co-employment is a risk. But what you really need to look at is what are you actually going to do about co-employment, because a lot of the levers that you might want to use to manage co-employment risk are not in the control of a person who manages the actual program. They're in the control of the managers who manage the contingent workers themselves. So what organisations find is they find it very hard to change the behaviour of a manager and how they manage that worker, which is actually the biggest leverage you have over lowering your co-employment risk. So if we can't have a big impact on that area, which is an important area, and you should probably have a look at it if you can, what I would be doing is looking at the related issue, which is worker classification. So worker classification is determining which type of worker, which way you should engage a worker based on the work they're going to do for you. So if you say, I'm going to bring someone in and they're going to do a project and they're going to be in and out in 3 months, then that is a person who you could deem to be a contingent worker. But if you bring someone in who's going to sit in a department, everyone else in the department's going to be a permanent employee, and you intend to keep them for a really long time, then why would you have that person as a contingent worker? It just doesn't make any sense. You know, what organisations find is that the process of getting a person into the organisation is always rushed. We need a person, we need them straight away, let's get them in there. And so they don't have time to make those kind of decisions. And sometimes those decisions aren't made by the people in charge of the program, the contingent workforce program. They're made by the managers. So what I would generally recommend is that organisations have a process of reviewing people that are in their contingent workforce. Having a look at how long has this person been with us, what kind of work are they doing, and going back and just looking at what's there. Because you know, you can say in the first 12 months you might say it's not necessarily a major disaster if you have someone misclassified for 12 months, but if you forget to review them and suddenly they've been with you for 6 years, then it starts to become an issue. So that's really the first one. The second area I'd look at is supply chain risk. It's really been hot in the media in recent times. The very, very emotive term that has been used in the media is wage theft. And really it came down, organisations like 7-Eleven really got hit hard by it. And what that meant was that organisations are taking a very structured approach to the law and saying this is not my responsibility. And what new legislation and public opinion is driving is that just because it's not legally your responsibility to make sure that the people who work for your suppliers are paid appropriately, it actually becomes your obligation because it will affect your reputation. And not only your reputation, there's new laws that make organisations who are upstream, if you like, from the employing organisation responsible for the behaviour of organisations that they have relationships with, so such as franchisors and franchisees, or such as organisations, for example, a recent case where a supermarket supermarket chains and their trolley collectors, and also a recent case where there was the cleaning people at the MCG were the company that had the contract with the company that employed the workers was held responsible for the employment conditions that those workers were under, even though they were not the actual employer of those workers. So supply chain risk is an area you really need to have a look at. And the way to do that is to know your suppliers. You know, you need to know who they are, you need to know what they're doing, you need to ask questions. You can't just say, it's in the contract, they have to do the right thing and I'm covered. Phew, done. It's not done. You've got to continue to monitor your suppliers. You've got to use suppliers that are well regarded, have a good track record, and be really careful about who you engage. And I guess the number one rule of risk management in contingent workforce is you cannot measure or check what you don't know. Visibility is the thing that you need. You need to be able to see what's in your organisation, because without visibility you can't manage supply chain. Without visibility you can't manage co-employment. Without visibility you can't manage tax risk. So the first thing you need to do is get visibility, then you can start to look at some of the risks.